At the biggest event for the game era, the crowd is going absolutely wild for the grand finals. Live from the booth, the announcer is hyping up the insane power and flawless controls of our MC. Doubting a normal player could be this good, the opponent attacks with a sword that seems to split the heavens. With incredible agility, our boy dodges everything, showing everyone why he's the undefeated king. Right after, he counters, aiming only for vital spots like a true demon. Faced with his completely shattered defense, the blonde swordsman lets out a hateful curse. Giving him no room to breathe, our MC gains a massive advantage, leaving his enemy with no strength to fight back. With the system alert beeping about low health, the great champion is about to be crowned. Carrying the giant sword on his back, the kid calmly approaches to finish the job. With a confident smirk, he declares that this time victory is in the bag. Head down, his opponent mutters in disbelief that he's lost the fight. But suddenly, his face twists in fury as he screams that he can't accept this defeat. Completely losing it, the blonde dude bellows, questioning how he could possibly lose in this place. Immediately, a sinister aura covers the arena as he warns that our hero's effort is worthless. Using an infinite durability cheat on his weapon, the villain charges forward with everything he's got. In shock, our boy realizes his enemy activated a super speed hack, paying a fortune for it. In the blink of an eye, the blonde unleashes terror on the field, tearing through the air at lightning speed. With wide eyes, the MC finally understands the dirty play happening right in his face. From one side to the other, the cheater gives him zero chance to block. All around, the arena turns into a light show from so many simultaneous strikes. Full of irony, the villain says it's naive to think effort can change fate. Trapped in the ambush, the warrior admits he can barely even follow the coward's movements. Spending tons of cash, the scumbag activates a teleport and an instant kill move. At that moment, a bright flash fills the screen, and the system announces the loser's account will be permanently deleted. Our boy is crushed, having lost to such a humiliating cheap shot. Consumed by rage, he questions why that guy betrayed his trust. Filled with hatred, he wants to know why his former friend broke their promise to fight fair. With a cynical look, the blonde just mutters a hollow apology. Without a shred of shame, the traitor tells him to be his brother in the next life. Immediately, the screen turns completely red, warning of the account's total shutdown. Left in the digital void, our hero refuses to accept such a pathetic end. Thinking about his life of poverty with no money or power, he starts to break down inside. Even so, he always believed his own hard work could change his reality for the better. Literally climbing out of the gutter, our MC clawed his way to the top ranks of the game through sheer grit. He was so close to touching the ultimate throne, the goal of his entire bloody journey. Since he'd bet his own life on this final battle, the frustration hits 1,000 times harder. Disappointed as he watches his own hand turn to dust, he feels the weight of the crushing defeat. Heading into the infinite darkness, the kid swears he'd do anything for another chance to rise. All of a sudden, he wakes up, gasping for air and screaming at the top of his lungs. With his heart pounding out of his chest and his forehead slick with sweat, he tries to figure out what happened. Confused by his surroundings, our MC realizes he's back in his tiny old room. Just then, a girl appears, yelling and asking why her brother is lying on the floor playing dead. In a moment of clarity, he recognizes his beloved younger sister, perfectly healthy. His memory quickly reminds him that 3 years ago, the girl had fallen into a coma after a horrible accident. To keep her alive on life support at the hospital, he spent all his winnings from the game's tournaments. Stunned by the situation, he's in total shock. He grabs the girl's shoulders, questioning how she's standing here and not in an ICU bed. Landing a swift kick on her brother, the girl tells him to get a grip and stop being so paranoid. Lying on the floor with a sore face, the MC desperately asks what the date is. Calendar in hand, his sister reveals they've gone back exactly 5 years into the past of the game's launch day. With his heart racing, the kid realizes he's truly been given a miraculous new life. The cruel memory of the betrayal flashes back, and he relives that feeling of pure despair and hatred. But now, the scales of fate have finally tipped in our wronged hero's favor. In the middle of the room, he celebrates this golden opportunity to start from scratch and fix everything. With a dark smile like someone who's about to own the entire server, he promises to reign at the top this time. With the VR helmet already in hand, the kid plans to use his hard-earned savings to log in immediately. In this amazing universe, the game era evolves with its players and has become a global phenomenon. In his past life, he rose to stardom using nothing but pure intelligence and skill. Revered as the god of free-to-play players, he earned respect and fame among the warriors. However, one step away from ultimate glory, he saw his best friend give in to the temptation of betrayal. Seething with anger, the MC tries to figure out when the coward started planning that backstab. Pushing aside those useless thoughts, he decides to focus all his energy on this second chance. Placing the helmet on his head, the boy swears he won't repeat the same mistakes. Immediately, an insane flash of light fills his vision, officially welcoming him to the virtual world. In the middle of the data space, the system asks him to choose his combat class and begin his journey. Back then, the game company didn't release any guides, forcing everyone to explore everything in the dark. But for our time traveler with years of experience under his belt, there are no secrets left. With a clenched fist, he knows perfectly well that his knowledge of the future is the biggest advantage possible. Heading straight for the starting town, the warrior vows to achieve absolute power without depending on anyone else. He's putting the world on notice. The King of Ra's skill has returned in full force. Facing the beginner's plaza packed with newbies, a wave of nostalgia hits the hero's mind. Just then he hears some players mocking the warrior class, saying it's the worst choice at the moment. Staring at his own level 1 status screen, the randoms keep calling the kid useless. Far from caring about the jokes, our MC just lets out a sinister little smirk. Ready to kick things off, a creepy skeleton monster appears on screen, promising carnage. Without blinking, our MC locks in his choice, the warrior class. Instantly, the memory of his traitorous friend appears, questioning this risky decision. In the fake friend's view, only bottom-of-the-barrel players would pick something like that. After all, warriors were just cannon fodder, slow and without the cash for spells. They were only good for taking a beating on the front lines and soaking up heavy damage. Posing dramatically, the blonde suggests the swordsman class, as it's more elegant and deadly. But putting his foot down, the kid argues that resilience in the face of danger is what attracts true power. By surviving every crisis, he swears he would earn his victory. Cutting back to the past, the kid awakens the aura of the immortal war god. With the heavy sword on his shoulders, he challenges the memory of his cowardly rival. With a sharp smile, our hero proposes a brutal bet on survival. Completely surprised, the ghost from the past asks what the prize would be. The warrior charges forward, destroying monsters with pure fury. Explaining his tactic, he focuses on high health so he can't be one-shotted. Wearing his tattered cloak, he's absolutely certain he chose the right path. Coming down hard on the beast, our MC converts the damage he takes into pure strength. While the rich players focus on flashy spells, he knows that brutality wins. Through the village streets, the magic and agile classes are already forming packed groups. This leaves the warriors completely isolated and with no morale to join any teams. Faced with the unbalanced stats of the starting monsters, most of them get wiped out fast. However, with a huge survival advantage, our boy makes up for it all with pure skill. Just then, the screen flashes, delivering the first system quest directly to his panel. Following the marker, he needs to find an NPC in the city before the timer runs out. Face to face with a chubby old man, a strong sense of nostalgia hits the hero's chest. Overjoyed, he smiles upon seeing that friendly guide from so many years ago. Suddenly, a random guy bumps hard into our MC and immediately starts spouting insults. Showing off his shiny armor, the level 2 paladin demands silver coins as a toll. Thinking fast, the kid figures out the guy chose a class focused on support and healing. By dropping a fortune in real-world cash, this loser bought himself a level advantage on day 1. This is how the scum tries to extort newbies, using the stat difference to intimidate them. Faced with the threat, our hero sees nothing but a paper tiger with 0 talent. Pressuring his victim, the paladin says the starting coin would perfectly cover the protection fee. With a look of contempt, our MC refuses to hand over a single cent to the bully. Boiling with rage, the show-off draws his weapon and attacks, telling the newbie to delete his account. With a sharp crack, the kid catches the enemy blade with his own bare hands. In complete shock, the attacker realizes he's completely lost all strength in his arm. A system notification pops up, announcing that the grip amplification talent has been activated. Shaking in his boots, the paladin thinks this passive is only for holding items. Laughing at the moron, our MC tells him that ignorance is bliss. For the hands of a warrior, that simple talent hides the class's ultimate power. Crying out in pain, the rich kid doesn't understand how he was disarmed without any equipment. Mentally, our boy explains that the strong grip allows him to parry physical blows. And if his base strength is higher than the enemy's, the system triggers an automatic disarm. Since the paladin idiot didn't put any points into his strength, he fell right into his own trap. In the future, this simple ability will evolve into the overpowered Titan's grasp. Bringing back insane memories, the kid knows he'll soon be able to wield giant swords with just one hand. Right on time, the city guards show up, running and armed to the teeth. Excited by the backup, the paladin's little group shouts that the warrior is going to be executed for fighting in a safe zone. Surrounded by high-level spears, our MC raises his hands, admitting he did hit him. With a wicked grin, the disarmed attacker thinks he's already won the fight. But in a calm tone, our hero claims he acted in pure self-defense. Baffled by the answer, the paladin asks what kind of crazy talk this is. Trying to pull rank, the preppy kid throws it in his face that he's spent thousands of dollars on the game. With a victorious smile, the kid explains that the NPCs punish whoever attacks first. Immediately, the guard slams his shield into the paladin, crushing the scoundrel against the ground. By the system's law, the defender gets the coin the attacker dropped as a reward. Closing his hand around the prize, our MC tastes the sweet victory of justice. Sarcastic to the end, he accepts the forced apology from the knocked-out guy. Witnessing the humiliating scene, the henchmen break out in a cold sweat, paralyzed with fear. Staring down the troop of losers, the warrior asks if anyone else wants to leave a little cash for him. Leaving the trash behind, the kid finally walks over to the quest tent. In front of the starting guide, the notification to claim his reward shines brightly. Sitting next to the NPC, the kid gives a nostalgic greeting like they're old friends. Confused, the white-bearded old man remembers that the server just opened this morning. Ignoring logic, our MC fishes for info, saying it's been at least 5 years since their last meeting. Having no patience for crazy people, the system presents the 3 basic rewards to choose from. Quickly, the hero's mind calculates that most broke players would take the coins to sell on the black market. But breaking all the rules, our MC loudly demands the mysterious option number 4. Startled, the old man's eyes go wide, calling the player a raving lunatic. Without backing down an inch, the warrior recites an enigmatic poem about bonfires in the dawn. Trembling, the NPC questions where this stranger got such sacred words. With a piercing gaze, our MC finishes the secret code about the new age of the gods. Racking his brain, he asks if the guide remembers this old password. Straight from his future memories, the kid sees himself completing an obscure quest about protecting the character's family. In that past life, the old man didn't have the money to pay, and now the debt will finally be collected. Pleading for safety, the NPC gives him the secret password in case he needs help in the future. With a fixed stare, our hero knows the system could erase the old man's memory. Crying buckets, the guide promises to remember the boy as his true savior. Just then the screen glows, unlocking the hidden reward exclusive to veterans. Back to the traumas of the past, our MC laments his defeat by dirty cheats. Filled with rage, he refuses to accept such injustice in the virtual world. Soon, the coveted and brightly shining initial talent stone appears in his hand. Shocked by the prize, the kid remembers this item would cost a fortune in real money. Aiming to reign at the top, he's certain he needs the best possible foundation. Without a second thought, the warrior selects the Oath of the Sword to rewrite his story. Surprised by his courage, the guide warns that the technique requires extreme mastery. With a calm expression, our hero confirms his decision on the spot. Far away, the newbies burst out laughing, calling the guy an incompetent piece of junk. Oblivious to the jokes, the old man teaches that the warrior makes the weapon, not the other way around. Thanking him for the rare gift, the boy says goodbye to the guide and sets off on his mission. In his past life, this talent only came at level 30, but now the power has arrived early. Knowing the game, the kid is aware that pay-to-win players lose steam around level 5. Pulling up his mental strategy, a basic sword should do the trick. Unlike crude axes, the blade focuses entirely on deadly precision. Demanding pure technique, this weapon separates the gods from the insects. Before, the plan was to focus on grip strength and the common item shop. But with the magic stone in his pocket, the hero abandoned the free sword from the tent. Facing this new path, the boy feels the winds of change blowing. By remaking his choices, the bloody future with the blonde traitor will also disappear. Filled with fury, our MC vows to crush the humiliation he suffered before. In the middle of the plaza, a shout about a clearance sale cuts through the silence. Curious about the yelling, the warrior approaches the suspicious vendor's stall. Disgusted with the merchandise, customers toss the items back on the ground. Not caring about anyone's opinion, our hero picks up a worn-out wooden club. Checking the stats, the piece of wood is shockingly listed under the hidden category of sword. With his eyes shining, the kid notices a bizarre glitch in the item's code. Nearby, the street vendor cries, begging for mercy from the town's troublemakers. Getting kicked in the face, the poor guy suffers at the hands of toxic players. Stepping into the fight, the warrior warns that the game needs support roles to survive. Cutting the chatter, he throws a copper coin on the table, paying for the wooden weapon. Furious with the interruption, the gang leader demands to know our MC's name. Laughing at the warrior class, the thugs run off while the merchant thanks him for the rescue. Promising revenge, the bully mutters about his fun being ruined. With a faint smile, the boy scoffs, saying he was just doing his good deed for the day. Pointing to the stick in the hero's hand, the villain insists that it's useless junk. Calling the vendor a con artist, the gang gets out of the market area. Without looking back, the morons miss their golden opportunity. From his experience, the kid knows these clubs are leftovers from blacksmith shops. In the old days, scammers used these scraps to rip off newbie players for a few coins. However, the war god's instinct detects the impossible fusion of a sword and a mace in the same weapon. Connecting the dots, the kid figures out the true potential of the broken stick. In reality, the weapon hides a rare artifact that already functions as a basic sword. With a quick click, the club becomes the warrior's main piece of equipment. Soon, the character sheet glows with new physical attack points. Prepared for the hunt, our hero runs straight for the village exit. Suddenly, a virtual siren announces a demon attack at the main gate. Reading his mental forums, he recalls that level 2 hordes crushed the players there. In the future, this small town was wiped off the map after an absolute massacre by the forces of darkness. Arriving at the wall, several newbies are swinging their weapons, trying to hold back the monsters. Stepping in front, the local guard blocks the door, demanding that the MC flee. With no patience for orders, the warrior demands immediate passage to the battlefield. Warned about losing his beginner's shield, the kid ignores the mortal risk. With a crazy smile, he swears that high-level beasts will drop like flies. Won over by his absurd courage, the watchman opens the gates and gives him 100 respect points. Using his hidden knowledge, the hero unlocks secret missions with pure audacity alone. Soon, the system flashes, activating a special request from the captain of the guard. With the trap set, the boy pulls an advanced mission at level 1. Begging for help, the soldier asks for the retrieval of the bodies trapped with the demon lord. Bypassing the system's barriers, the secret prize can prevent the map's destruction. Dismissing the funeral, our MC announces he's going to clear the entire dungeon. Aiming for the top, he plans to crush the final boss, ignoring the recommended level. By mastering the dodging mechanics, victory is already written in the code. In complete shock, the watchman stammers upon hearing the lethal monster's name. Confident in his power, the warrior swears to save the prisoners and tells him to get the beer ready. In disbelief, the soldier cries, saying his friends' deaths are a point of no return. With a stern face, our hero declares that he has become the very personification of a miracle. Beyond the walls, the ground, littered with crosses, marks the area's extreme danger. Smelling blood, the MC smiles at the chance to forge his own destiny. With the difficulty cranked to the max, average players are shouting desperate tactics in the middle of the mud. Near the campfires, teams are begging for magic support to avoid total annihilation. Thinking fast, our MC knows that normal folks prefer to focus on group play. With his gear shining, he reflects on the game's basic survival strategies. Near the fire, some randoms start mocking the boy for holding a wooden club. Full of swagger, the guys ask if the newbie warrior is crazy enough to hunt alone. Laughing, the group leader says a level 1 piece of junk would only drag the whole team down. Ignoring the taunt, the kid calculates that hunting in a group lowers the risk but splits the experience too much. Certain of his own strength, the hero concludes that splitting the loot is a terrible deal when you can earn 5 times more. Suddenly, a loud crash gets his attention, showing a knight being thrown far into the snow. Assessing the scene, the protagonist notices the guy's armor is way too fragile and quickly deduces his talent. On fire because of his ability, the poor guy loses strength points and his body goes limp like paper. In a cold analysis, the boy realizes the coward gave up his natural defense just to try and deal damage from the back line. With no mercy in his judgment, our MC determines that the Fire Knight is nothing but a complete chicken. At that exact moment, the system beeps, warning that the demonic monster has focused its gaze right in the middle of the group. Charging full speed ahead, the creature aims for the paper tank who's trying to act smart, thinking he controls the situation. Spotting the malicious intent instantly, the hero realizes the scumbag pulled the beast on purpose to try and get the surrounding newbies killed. Without wasting a single second, the kid rushes like a bolt of lightning straight towards the giant beast. Watching from a distance, the randoms panic, unable to believe the newbie didn't run away in fear. Focusing his gaze, our MC perfectly reads the trajectory of the deadly attack. Raising its brutal blade, the demon brings the blow down with full force to crush the boy. In a smooth and calculated move, the warrior dodges the axe at the very last millimeter, activating a perfect dodge. Feeling the adrenaline rush, the hero reinforces that true evolution happens face-to-face with doom. Seeking the title of immortal war god, he knows he needs to flirt with danger at all times. Gripping the wooden club tightly, the MC wonders if he can reign supreme in this new life. Landing a violent counterattack, the wood cracks against the monster's chin, displaying a critical hit on the screen. Taking the punch to the face, the beast goes berserk with rage and activates its furious mode, gaining much more power. Desperate in the rear, the cowardly knight yells that a head-on fight now is pure suicide. Far from backing down, the boy thinks the risk is still low and takes another step into the kill zone. Closing in on the enemy's body, the warrior lets out an insane smile, feeling the absurd pressure of combat. Exploiting the perfect opening, the club comes crashing down, landing another monstrous critical hit right on the beast's forehead. Screaming in pain, the beast completely loses its balance, and its special move is cancelled by brute force. Continuously focused on the attack, the protagonist pummels the monster without giving it any room to breathe. In an explosion of light and blood, the screen shakes with the absurd violence of the combo. Finishing the sequence, the boy spins his body and brings the weapon down with everything he has, slicing through the air. Immediately, the system confirms the solo kill, delivering a mountain of experience to the hero. Completely paralyzed, the surrounding players can barely blink, watching a newbie crush the creature using just a piece of wood. Trying to justify the humiliation, the knight stammers that it was pure luck to land so many critical hits. Clapping, the team leader approaches and bets that the kid is a disguised veteran from the beta testing phase. Quickly changing his tone, the guy extends his hand and invites the MC to join their elite group. With a completely straight face, our hero turns down the offer flat out without hesitating. Trying to convince the guy, the leader warns that the boss mission absolutely requires 5 people to succeed. Soon, the screen flashes with a formal invitation as the random player insists they form the perfect team. Using a financial bait, the rich kid promises to split all the loot 50-50 to seal the deal. Aware of the game's rules, the boy retorts that 5 people is just a recommendation, not a system lock. Breaking into a cold sweat, the rich kid's eyes widen as he realizes the madman plans to solo the entire dungeon boss. Changing tactics, the guy tries to apply pressure by talking about the unique rewards and legendary items from the server's first kill. Detailing the fight, the leader explains that the boss summons elite monsters and the team would be crushed without a good defense. Reading the scumbag's mind, our MC figures out they just want a suicide tank to soak up the damage. Wringing his hands nervously, the guy tries to deny the accusation, making up flimsy excuses. Lying through his teeth, he swears he admires the newbie's skill and doesn't just want cannon fodder. On the inside, our boy knows perfectly well that the setup is for him to be the sacrifice in the middle of the chaos. Losing his patience, the suit asks what the warrior's final decision will be. Surprising everyone, the kid accepts the invitation, and the system immediately confirms his entry into the squad. Mentally, the hero smiles, remembering that the dungeon's difficulty and prizes increase with the number of members. By entering with a full team, the system activates the boss's maximum strength mode, guaranteeing an exclusive item. Since this secret mission disappears from the map after completion, the rewards become impossible to find relics. Focused on absolute victory, the MC knows this unique reward is the key to success at the start of the game. With a cruel plan in mind, he decides to use the team of suckers to strengthen the boss and then steal everything for himself. Arriving at the big blue portal, the entrance to the demon boss's dungeon awaits the bloodbath. At the door, the leader immediately starts yelling at one of his henchmen, demanding total focus before the raid. Complaining non-stop, the random whines about the high cost of potions and the bad items that drop from common monsters. Straightening his posture, the boy confirms that green equipment is the stuff of legends on the server's first day. Just then, the wooden club begins to glow insanely, seeking a host to merge with. Acting like a know-it-all, the leader tells the newbie to stop looking at the monster's weapons because they can't be looted. With an arrogant smile, he teaches that the game's economy would break if you could just pick up items off the ground. Ignoring the chatterbox, the hero brings the mysterious piece of wood close to the broken blade of a slain demon. Immediately, the system reveals that the stick is a branch of the world tree, activating a magical fusion. In a bright flash, the wood absorbs the steel, creating a demonic serrated sword with insane stats. Pulling from his memory, the MC remembers seeing this exact artifact break records in a future auction. Revealing the absurd secret, the item works like a universal hilt, turning any junk on the map into a deadly weapon. In his past life, this divine relic was auctioned off for the staggering fortune of 100 million in real money. With this ace up his sleeve, the warrior eliminates the brutal disadvantage against beasts that use rare equipment. Testing the limits of the thing, he realizes he can steal the weapon of any fallen enemy without spending a dime. Soon our boy's stat sheet explodes with power, easily surpassing any beginner player. Ready for the carnage, the war god moves forward decisively and crosses the dungeon barrier at full speed. On the other side, chaos reigns as guards are massacred while screaming for survival and honor on the battlefield. At the arena entrance, the leader tells the team to wait for the opening cutscene to pass before attacking. Focused on strategy, the rich kid teaches that the boss loses strength after the animation. With a mocking smile, our hero says he doesn't have the patience for game lore. Desperate, the NPC captain yells for the group to retreat from the suicidal battle. Trembling with fear, the surviving soldiers salute, agreeing to flee. Drawing his modified sword, the kid announces that his style is to just start the brawl right away. In shock, the squad leader calls the newbie an idiot for pulling the monster so early. He quickly yells for his henchmen to get out of the danger zone, leaving the warrior to perish alone. Flying high, the demon boss activates its maximum power, focusing on the first one who attacked. Laughing, the MC knows that being the main target is suicide, but that's exactly the idea. Focused on his swagger, the boy explains that changing the timeline requires ignoring the system's normal rules. In a sonic boom, the clash of weapons makes the earth tremble, kicking up dust and destruction everywhere. Hiding in the corner, the fake friend thinks they've just used the perfect cannon fodder to tire out the boss. Confident in his victory, he waits for the beast to rest so he can swoop in and easily steal the final reward. Completely cynical, the rich kid swears he'll split the cash without leaving a single cent for the sacrificed newbie. Confirming the betrayal, the system announces that the leader kicked the warrior from the group mid-fight. Alone on the field, our hero continues to trade brutal blows with the giant monster without backing down an inch. Confirming his tactic, the boy mutters that the random's cowardice was exactly what he needed. Without the leeches around, he deduces that the dungeon's difficulty has dropped to 0. In the air, the creature plummets down, thinking it could easily crush a simple newbie. Completely shrouded in evil energy, the war god is reborn from his own personal hell, calling for combat. Using the power of his initial talent, the system notifies him of a damage increase as long as he's wielding a sword. Shaking in their boots, the captain of the cowards is startled by the sound of an explosion breaking the sound barrier. Boiling with rage, the kid throws his modified weapon against the monster's axe in a devastating impact. With the system notification glowing, the final attack cuts through the beast's armor, sending blood flying. On the ground with their jaws dropped, the morons don't understand how a level 1 piece of junk is trading blows equally with the final boss. Feeling the pressure, the creature roars and immediately activates its second phase, with purple lightning crackling all over its body. Without losing momentum, the warrior pummels the beast, bringing the wood down directly on its glowing horns. Seeing the madness, the rich kid panics, thinking the suicidal fool is about to be disintegrated by the fatal shock. Laughing at his own stupidity, he orders the team to prepare their attacks for when the kid drops. Soon, an atomic explosion sweeps across the plaza, blinding everyone who tries to look. Cutting through the purple dust cloud, the demonic energy tries to pulverize the boy in the middle of the storm. With a grim face, our MC reflects that the warrior class is looked down upon because of this lack of magic defense. Memories of his old life surface, showing how the rich bought their way through the game, leaving the poor with the scraps. Back in the day, the broke players were used as cannon fodder, while the elite paraded around with insane weapons. With no money to spend in the game, people could only level up their accounts using pure brute force. Focused on revenge, he declares that those who have nothing must cling to their own lives as their only resource. On the other side, the group leader stammers, unable to believe the worst class in the game is still standing after a killer hit. Staring down his demise, the kid smiles, proving that poverty forges war gods in the hell of absolute effort. Immediately, the passive grip talent activates, forcing a manual block with the weapon as if it were a heavy shield. Firmly holding against the impact, the MC shows that mastering your own limits is worth more than any golden item. Soon, a microscopic opening appears in the creature's defense, and he doesn't miss the chance to strike back. With absolutely no hesitation, the warrior charges forward, flying into a lethal embrace with the defenseless enemy. With his eyes gleaming with pure malice, he declares he would take down a god if one stood in his way. Without messing around, the magic blade rips through the demon boss's chest, silencing the monster forever with one final blow. In the same instant, the monster dissolves in an explosion of pure light and screams. In bold letters, the system announces on the screen that the demon lord has been successfully sliced and diced. The battlefield is completely destroyed, showing the warrior kneeling and trying to catch his breath. In a lot of pain, the boy realizes that tanking a boss's hit with starter stats nearly melted his body. But the bright side was the waterfall of bonus experience and the instant increase in his character level. Refreshed by the system, he gains all the extra survival and max strength attributes on his stat sheet. Hiding back there, the idiots from the old group are frozen, unable to string two words together. Stammering, the rich kid short-circuits, thinking the newbie broke the Phase 2 code with a hack. Suddenly, 1,000 notifications pop up on the screen, awarding the MC with rare titles, maximum glory, and town reputation points. Without the deadly threat, the area's curse vanishes and the red mist dissipates, restoring the old peace. Leaving the noobs shocked outside, the arena gates break down, clearing the final passage. Surprised and frustrated, the scumbags swear they saw dirty cheats used throughout the fight, not real merit. Changing his tone, the rich kid demands that the entire bag of coins be collected before the boy can even breathe. Sending his henchmen ahead, he tries to pull a quick theft to make up for the time spent watching the fight. But the system humiliates the moron, shouting that locked quest items can't go into someone else's pocket without authorization. Banging his head against the wall, the rich kid realizes his own stupid mistake. By removing the warrior mid-battle, the system locked all the loot exclusively for the one who finished the fight. Right away, a holy light illuminates the golden bell relic, guaranteeing an exclusive pushback artifact from the monster. Evaluating the tiny drop, the hero concludes that this bell is worth more than many giant items that fill the whole screen. Reaching out his hand, the kid uses the pickup command to send everything straight to his backpack without needing to grab it off the ground. Watching the coins fly through the air, the suckers drool while their own pockets remain completely empty. Trying to maintain his tough guy act, the leader gathers his henchmen and calms everyone down by yelling. With a wicked smile, he remembers the little detail about the game's reverse death mechanic, which allows looting everything from a defeated player in the first 24 hours. Full of greed, the guy figures that if he takes out the kid now, all the boss's money magically becomes theirs. Using a spy ability, one of the thugs reveals the MC's health bar, showing only a measly 3% remaining. Laughing in the face of death, the rich kid boasts that a sneeze or a scratch is enough to send the boy straight to the graveyard. Fanning the flames, he tells them to activate free-for-all PvP mode in the dungeon immediately. Meanwhile, the warrior smiles, admiring his bag stuffed with pure gold coins and a bunch of shiny alchemy materials. Tallying up the cents, he realizes he's going to take home a small fortune on his very first day of playing, thanks to the game's gray market. Approaching with a nonchalant look, the rich kid interrupts the calculations, ironically congratulating him on his big win. Rejecting the fake friendship, the boy throws it in their faces that they were the ones who broke the deal. Shifting the blame, the rich kid lies that they only stayed out because they trusted the MC's strength. Full of venom, the scoundrel suggests the team deserves all the credit and the prize for the victory. Suddenly, the system flashes red, warning that our hero has suffered a critical injury. Bleeding and coughing non-stop, the warrior is penalized with having all his attributes cut in half until he returns to the village. Noticing the advantage, the rich kid drops his mask, revealing the true face of the infamous Rex's mercenary gang. Explaining their dirty ideology, the leader says they make a living killing monsters and looting players. Faced with this cruelty, the henchmen surround our boy, ready for a cold-blooded execution. Aiming a magic arrow right at the hero, the archer yells for him to hand over all the loot before he gets wiped. The shot grazes the MC's shoulder, and he immediately recognizes the attack from the hunter class. With the perfect precision on the open field, he figures the archer missed on purpose just to intimidate him. Confused by the clown show, the boy asks what the idiots are trying to achieve with this. Giving the final order, the leader demands the items and tells the kid to take off all his clothes. To humiliate him completely, the rich kid says he's going to march naked to the main city's plaza. Laughing like a demon, the thug already imagines the warrior's shame, walking through the middle of everyone. Watching the horror show, the hero concludes that the group thinks they own the entire server just by playing dirty. With an icy glare, he just listens to the insults from the motormouth mercenary. Drawing his heavy sword again, the MC lets out a dry no and shatters the gang's delusion. Immediately, the leader's expression changes, and he warns that the kid is about to be dust under his boot. Turning to the archer, the rich kid yells for him to light up the idiot who refused the order. Challenging the assassins, our boy beats his own chest, calling everyone to the fight. Seething with rage, the leader decrees the death penalty in the middle of the empty street. The hunter draws his bowstring, activating the intense glow of the lethal focused shot ability. At the exact moment of the shot, the hero raises the relic dropped by the boss and shouts for the magic to activate. With an absurd boom, the golden bell emits an invisible shield, repelling the magic arrow with double the force. Watching the chaos, the group's mages recognize the absolute defense of the sacred bell and panic. Shaking in his boots, the leader asks if the item makes the warrior invulnerable to any attack. With no time to explain, the MC warns that the protection is temporary, but enough for him to plan everyone's demise. Whimpering, the dumb mage thinks that one extra second of life makes no difference against their magic damage. He soon finds out the hard way that this extra millisecond was all the war god needed. Burning through his accumulated points, the kid unlocks the secret legendary technique of the class, Last Gasp. Focused on survival, he knows that activating the emergency heal bypasses even the system's locks. Seeing the boy's health bar filled to the brim, the gang leader freaks out, not understanding what happened. Immediately, demonic energy envelops the warrior as if he had sold his soul for power. Desperate, the archer tries to restore order and tells everyone to focus their magic damage while the sword is stuck in the ground. But a golden glow takes over the hero's bare hand, preparing for a lethal punch. In a flash, he smashes the hunter's face with a sonic punch, sending blood flying everywhere. The violence of the impact creates a crater in the street, wiping out the archer before he could even finish his sentence. Shocked by the speed, the henchmen can barely follow the warrior's brutal movement. Looking at their dead partner's body, the group stammers, unable to believe a single punch finished off an entire mage. With the unarmed combat skill activated, the MC converts all his physical strength into massive damage with his bare hands. Trying to fight back, the mage summons a prison of ice, instantly freezing the kid's boots. Immediately, a solid block forms, trapping the warrior's legs in the icy asphalt. Believing he's won, the leader raises his sword, laughing and already planning a slow, painful decapitation of his enemy. Wiping the smirk off his face, the hero shatters the freezing magic with pure physical strength, breaking the ice like glass. Leaping forward, our boy prepares a colossal punch, shrouded in a storm of electricity. Hit square in the chest, the mage freezes before being completely carbonized, letting out a sharp scream. Haunted by the scene, the leader finally understands that cheap magic can't stop someone who focuses on raw brutality. Explaining the game's physics, the kid says that the strength attribute also serves to nullify control spells. Scratching his head, the last survivor tries to make sense of the numbers that don't add up with the logic of the critical injury. Seeing that the enemy's killer aura is growing stronger, the rich kid tells the archer to check the stats again. Sarcastically, the warrior tells him to chill out and not waste time trying to understand the power gap. With a sly smile, he reminds the trash heap that the group's archer was taken out in the first second of the fight. Sweating bullets and all alone, the gang captain looks around, begging for help that will never come. Trying to find a justification for the beating he's taking, he blames it on a non-existent hacking system. Pointing a dirty finger, the scoundrel swears he's going to report the use of cheats to the server moderators. Flashbacks of the old betrayal explode in the boy's mind, rekindling his hatred for cowardly whiners. Clenching his fist, the hero swears that only the weak blame the gods for their own ruin and never their own effort. Bringing his arm down on the unfortunate soul, he says that empty accusations are the last resort of humiliated losers. With his face busted up and dying of pain, the rich kid finally begs for mercy, swearing to disappear from the map. Making it clear there's no turning back, the MC warns that the apology is past its expiration date. Repeating the leader's own arrogant phrase, the boy points out that those who play God sooner or later get a reality check. Laughing at the kid, the villain assumes his assassin form, confessing that the whole act was just to buy time to charge a dark magic spell. Explaining the rules, the rich kid knows that the warrior's strength only peaks when he's surrounded by enemies. Since the entire gang is already done for, the hero's desperate resistance technique has just been deactivated by the system. Celebrating the miscalculation, the scoundrel draws his daggers and says the fight has now become a one-on-one. Without losing his cool, our hero pulls out his gigantic sword, proving he's ready for the singular carnage. Donning the black cloak of an executioner, the assassin reveals his advanced class, specializing in brutal duels. In a clash of sparks, the weapons meet, shaking the invisible walls of the makeshift arena. Using his critical hit passive, the assassin slices through the air, aiming straight for the warrior's heart. With his class mechanic, each fatal hit stacks weaknesses, draining the opponent's speed and defense every second. Describing the mental torture, the villain explains that the poison on his blades rots the muscles of anyone who gets cut. Following the logic, the kid understands that if he lets the debuff stack, his end is certain and silent. Dancing on the balls of his feet, the assassin mocks the slowness of the heavy sword, trying to chip away at him bit by bit. Focused on hit-and-run tactics, the rat thinks his victory is guaranteed through exhaustion and area of effect curses. Bragging, the leader laughs, thinking our boy will be begging for his life in the blink of an eye. Without flinching, the kid shifts his footing and announces he's going to end this show quickly. Immediately, the hero vanishes from sight, exploding off the ground and launching like a missile towards the target. Surprised, the thug retreats, calculating that even with his stats cut, the warrior's strength is still absurd. Hidden by the poison, he smirks and mutters that in a game of endurance, the winner is already decided. Suddenly, the MC's dark voice echoes at the back of the assassin's neck, asking who said the fight was going to take long. In a flash, the demonic sword crosses the screen, and the war god mercilessly sends the trash to the respawn crystal. With wide eyes, the guy sees his own body falling in slow motion, not understanding a thing. In a digital explosion, the screen confirms the assassin has been sent back to base, straight to the starting plaza. Respawning in the city center, the rich kid appears completely naked and furious. Reading the notification, the scumbag realizes he lost a level, and now all his stats have dropped due to the death penalty. Looking around, his gang members appear equally nude, warning that the game even steals your underwear in the first few hours. Shocked, the leader goes into total denial, screaming that this is all an absurd lie. Mad with rage, he swears in front of everyone that he will tear the warrior to shreds for this public humiliation. Far away, the boy takes a deep breath, watching the dust settle and all the loot scattered on the asphalt. With a grimace, our MC complains about the poison's pain, remembering why he always dumped points into raw defense. Near the houses, some randoms appear, stammering and demanding that the warrior stay back. With no patience for theatrics, the kid throws the dirty clothes on the ground and tells the crowd to take them back to their naked leader. Completely pale, the NPC holds his breath and doesn't utter a single peep. Giving the final message, the hero swears that if he runs into the gang again, he'll grind their levels down to absolute zero. Swallowing hard, the little guy gets the message, nodding his head in a sign of pure respect. Leaving the trash behind, the boy turns his back and walks through the now restored and chaos-free valley. Watching the warrior walk away, the guards break into a cold sweat, impressed by the strength that overcame even certain doom. Contemplating the raw power, one of the soldiers mutters that he just witnessed the god of war himself walk out of hell. Immediately, the system showers him with messages, praising the hero for crushing the villain and guaranteeing the construction of a golden statue in the village. Pulling up his character sheet, the kid notes that getting backstabbed hurt less than the monster reward he got in the end. Arriving at the city gates, the soldiers line up in an honorable salute, giving him a king's welcome. Confused by the spectacle, our hero doesn't understand this red carpet reception. Bowing his head, the captain shouts, asking the MC to accept the highest level of respect the guard can offer. With the crowd whispering around them, everyone is shocked to see an NPC fawning over some random newbie. Whispering in a corner, a player wonders if the boy spent a fortune on a platinum VIP package just to show off. Shocked by the floating text on his own screen, the MC recognizes the extremely rare title of Blade of the Dawn. In his old memories, the virtual lands were once punished by a deep and heavy age of darkness. According to the system's lore, all the demons terrorized humanity in the dark, nearly extinguishing the light of civilization. That's when a mysterious human warrior showed up, sporting only scrapped gear and mediocre skills. Against all odds, the man led armies and broke the sky, bringing the light of day back to the dead continent. Only an ancient carved stone marked this glorious feat, where the sword was raised as a beacon of hope at the world's edge. Reflecting, the kid figures out that this feat became one of the 8 heroic titles, promising legendary bonuses that no one had ever achieved before. According to old rumors, people bet that these honors were tied to obscure main story quests, unattainable at the beginning. With a grin from ear to ear, the MC reflects on how easy it was to unlock something so mythical just by crushing the right boss in the right place. In the middle of the street, the people clap and shower him with praise, shouting, "Long live the Savior Lord." On the side, a merchant cries with joy, stating that the people's hearts have finally found peace. Approaching, the city's official guard formally invites the warrior to the grand banquet organized by the local mayor himself. The screen immediately flashes, opening the Hero of Mel quest and confirming today's celebration in the central plaza. Toning it down, the boy prefers to proceed without the exaggerated escort, fearing it will attract the attention of crazed and envious mercenaries. Hiding in a dark alley, the rich kid grinds his teeth, sharpening his daggers of revenge. Mad with envy, he vows to impale the hero at the first slip-up in the city's back alleys. Trembling beside him, one of the henchmen tries to convince the boss to give up the suicidal plan due to the boy's brutal strength. Angered by the cowardice, the leader explains that having the worst reputation in the entire village is still worth it to keep the group alive there. Insisting, the coward on duty asks for some secret advice to erase the shame for good without causing more trouble. Cynically, the scoundrel says that being the king of crime in the open is enough to put everyone on a leash. But right on cue, the huge guard slams his shield on the ground, warning that weapons in the neutral zone are an absolute crime during the festival. Swallowing his pride, the leader takes a step back, making the lame excuse that they were just having a friendly chat on the corner. Cutting him off, the big soldier gives a blunt warning, saying the system is keeping an eye on the marked villains. Cornered, the mercenary mutters under his breath that the kid has the whole system watching his back now. Leaving the rich kid fuming with rage, our hero finally reaches the giant doors of the main village office. Passing through the luxurious reception, the hall's light is almost blinding as a well-dressed NPC gives a king's ovation. With open arms, the chubby guy with a giant mustache welcomes the warrior with the utmost excitement, calling him a living legend. Shaking the MC's dirty hand, the mayor thanks even the gods for dispatching that demonic griffin from their lands forever. Looking at the screen, the kid reflects on how the fall of one boss saved ghost militiamen from the game's erased lore. Thoughtfully, the boy connects the dots and is shocked to realize that in his previous life, the old man never smiled once. But now the chubby guy seems to be in great health, dishing out lavish praise and tossing coins to the residents. The mayor continuously pours out sweet words about the warrior's kindness, paving the way for the grand golden announcement. Bringing the matter to a climax, he vows to erect a colossal statue forged from the purest gold and set it in the center of the forgotten little town. Believing this puts food on the table, he claims the Lord's image will shine for travelers at every sunrise forever. Gently, the MC flatly declines the offer, warning that idolizing a simple statue won't save any player on the front lines. Pulling an ace from his sleeve, he trades the useless tribute for an administrative project that shocks the entire room. With wide eyes, the mustached man applauds his maturity, guaranteeing any kind of funding and reward the hero desires. Going straight to the vault, the boy orders that all the money from the military budget, now free from the threat, be invested directly into the pockets of the new inhabitants. With the pose of a seasoned sage, he requests the cancellation of all taxes on item trading, thereby creating a giant tax-free market. Following the playbook, the kid demands a massive reinforcement of patrols throughout the entire map, ensuring a peaceful life for all. With a melted heart, the old man praises the kid, saying he's never seen an adventurer so charitable and detached from material possessions. Immediately, the order goes from the room to the system, which flashes, approving the entire package of revolutionary benefits for the newbies. All over the world, notifications rain from the skies, canceling market fees and freeing up travel for all those who needed to level up without going broke. Outside the mayor's office, the common folk erupt in cheers, raising their hands to the heavens and shouting that they finally have spare change for healing potions. Admiring his kindness, the mayor declares eternal respect for the city's savior. Pulling out a fancy golden key, the old man extends his hand to offer a secret little gift. With a huge smile, he says the final reward is a modest little house on the edge of the village, near the windmills. With his jaw on the floor, the boy reads on the system that he has become the official owner of a property in the game. Startled by the absurd gift, the kid breaks into a cold sweat just thinking about the headache and the value of that key. Diving into the virtual rules, he remembers that owning land is a privilege reserved for the game's untouchable elite. Unlike other open worlds, the land here is governed by a restricted artificial intelligence, where real money can't buy an inch of ground if the system doesn't want it to. In general, every square foot belongs to computer-built empires, hidden tribes, or layers of extremely high-level monsters. Controlling such a territory requires blood, sweat, and a lot of survival skill even for the strongest. On mountains covered in gold, beasts guard the areas as if they were their own lives, and only a true god can slay the paper dragon. The most normal players could achieve at the beginning was renting tiny workshops and street stalls. Even the large guilds struggled, paying fortunes to the artificial intelligence just to not lose control of the little they had. With the golden key shining, he realizes his absurd luck in having a completely independent private space in the quiet village. Thinking about the profit, the MC smiles, calculating that this house is the best safe testing ground for building weapons and selling items in the future. Leaving the formalities aside, the hero says goodbye to the mayor while the old man cries rivers, promising to clean the carpet every day. Walking out of the plaza, the panel throws up a package of updates, unlocking free fast travel from the city. Smiling at the wind, the kid is grateful for the complete makeover, guaranteeing infinite bonuses for any service from the NPCs. Stepping into the commercial area crowded with newbies, he plans to restock on potions and profit from the mayor's generous discount. Taking advantage of the distraction of the crowded street, a shadowy figure slips behind him, lightly touching his back pocket. Immediately, a red whistle sounds on the screen, alerting him to a stealth check and a failed agility test against the MC. The on-screen warning reports the immediate loss of over 100 copper coins, stolen by a scummy NPC. With his eyes wide with rage, he feels the money vanish from right under his nose in the middle of the market. Without hesitating, the boy spins like a top and grabs the hooded figure's hand at the speed of light. Tearing the mysterious cloak, the thief stumbles and lets the coins jingle as they hit the ground, revealing the theft in progress. With his blood boiling, our hero threatens her, saying the local security budget still has a lot of holes to patch. Yelling in the middle of the crowd, the warrior grabs the girl's shoulder and calls for the nearest guards. Fleeing at top speed, the scoundrel runs straight for the dark back alleys, luring the boy into a tight and shadowy alley. Reaching the end of the street, he realizes there's nowhere left to run, facing the assassin head-on. Seeing the flashing skull icon above her head, the kid immediately deduces the thief's elite level and takes a deep breath. Hidden in the gloom, several of her gang members start to close off the routes, blocking any exit for the hero. Laughing, the MC crosses his arms, realizing he's run into Shailene, the queen of Mel's shady underworld. Impressed by the information, the criminal compliments him, saying the newbie seems to be from the beta phase for knowing her name so easily. Bitter memories flood the warrior's mind of the times he got beat up by these NPCs in his first playthroughs years ago. Getting straight to the point, the thief confesses that the coins were just bait because someone put a price on his head. Figuring out the scheme, he mutters that he only ticked off the paladin Bala and Rex's gang, who were just humiliated in the plaza. Indifferent, the hero asks which of the two losers coughed up the dirty money. With a cynical smile, the girl informs him that the Blade of the Dawn Lord should already know the answer. Using logic, the kid guesses that the cowardly Rex wouldn't do the dirty work himself, preferring to send hired goons. Washing her hands of the story, the bandit plays the dedicated employee card, saying she's just punching the clock and earning her keep. Snapping her fingers, she coldly orders the massacre of the city's big shot, sending her pawns after him. Coming out of the shadows, the lackeys jump at his throat with knives and axes, trying to tear our boy's body apart with sheer numbers. Without breaking a sweat, the hero easily dodges, slicing through the small-time thugs' chests with his heavy sword in a single instant. A whirlwind of dust fills the alley as the last lackey flies face first into the brick wall, creating a trench. In less than 5 seconds, all the helpers are knocked out and groaning on the ground while the war god cleans his blade. Clapping ironically, the mob boss praises his agility, admitting that Rex was right to send reinforcements. Getting into a fighting stance, our boy calls the thief out, wanting to end this ridiculous ambush quickly. But tossing her weapons behind her, the woman surrenders, declaring that a head-on fight with him would be a guaranteed loss for her business. Dismissing the battered henchmen on the ground, she yells for them to get out of the danger zone before the doctor's bill eats into their profits. Complaining like a bar owner, she blames the inflation of potion prices, saying her gang isn't rich. Negotiating her retreat, the assassin promises to stall Rex and tell the biggest lie in the world to justify the absolute failure of the contract. Walking away casually, the mob boss tells the kid to stop by her speakeasy for the next round and put the tab on the house. Waving goodbye from a distance, the cheeky woman turns her back and tries to leave as if nothing absurd had just happened. But in a dark tone, the boy holds out his hand, demanding every single stolen coin back down to the last silver piece. Turning around in disgust, the girl throws his own audacity back in his face, as if he should feel blessed to have been left alive. Full of swagger, she claims the money served as a clemency tax from the underworld itself. Cutting her off, the MC clenches his teeth, remembering that he sweat blood killing the demon boss and won't accept being robbed in broad daylight. Emanating fury, he promises a relentless hunt, activating his auras until he scares the entire neighborhood with his thirst for revenge. Shifting into street brawl mode, the thief cracks her neck and says if he wants the change that badly, he'll have to kill or be killed to get it back. Immediately, the sword smashes down with brutal force, forcing the woman to retreat, tearing the sole of her boot on the ground to avoid being diced. Mockingly, the girl points to the splintering wood of his sword, laughing at the boy's precarious and poorly made weapon. Suspicious of the villain's resistance, the MC knows perfectly well that this woman of the shadows should have been much weaker in the old tutorials. Analyzing her arrogant demeanor, he guesses that besides the dirty coins, the woman is purposefully digging her own grave just to get a new weapon and shine brighter in the game's slums. Trying to decipher the girl's madness, our hero finds this thirst for the spotlight from a rogue artificial intelligence bizarre. Staring at the blade about to break, he puts the useless sword away in his pocket, promising to smash the thief's face in with his bare fists. Winding up his fist, the war god warns that he's not letting this go, and the punch is coming straight for her chin with no chance of retreat. Annoyed by the mockery of fighting unarmed, the assassin questions the newbie's audacity, calling his tactics prehistoric. With a brand new blade pulled from her pants, she declares she's feeling nice today, just enough to play around before killing the boy in pure humiliation. Laughing loudly, the woman bares her fangs and celebrates that the city's retirement home party has begun, with no holds barred in the dark and without witnesses. Outside, the defeated gang cries and cheers loudly, betting that their boss won't lose because of the huge health pool the glitched game gave her. Even though they're beaten up, they cheer with brute force, a chorus of stomping feet that disrupts the serious fight. The crew hypes her up so much it's like the World Cup finals, to the delight of the alley, with the thief's self-esteem inflated by her captive and idiotic audience. Flying forward, her purple gloves pull a tornado of darkness, shooting sparks that crumple the pipes like old plastic wrap in the city's digital dump. Demanding extreme speed, she curses our warrior's focused rhythm, telling him to strike hard and straight into the opening she pretends to make, trying to trap the MC. Returning the taunt, the guy dances, dodging just inches from the spikes, and asking about the supposed woman of the shadows' clunky and stiff skills. He realizes the system's AI creates real panic, throwing the avatar's body directly into the confusion, making him feel the blades on his skin as if it were real life in a terrifying instant. Faced with the brutal attack, our MC mentally admits that the assassin has absurd strength. Right after, the woman lands on the asphalt while the boy creates distance with a quick jump. In a frank exchange, the two clash fists, creating a sinister spark in the middle of the alley. Nimbly, the hero dodges a flying pink kick, hearing the villain praise his pretty boy reflexes. Without giving him a break, she launches another blow, asking if he can dodge again as the hit lands. Firm on the ground, our MC focuses his energy, warning that the game has its limits. In a fraction of a second, the war god's hand locks the woman's wrist with pure brute force. With the impact generating a shockwave, he decrees that the fight ends here. With a sadistic smile, the thief finds the situation interesting, admitting that without a blade, she couldn't take down the newbie quickly. Looking her in the eyes, the kid gets real, questioning if it's worth continuing since she'd be at a total loss. Silent for a moment, the mob boss analyzes the coldness of her unbeatable opponent. Suddenly, the bold woman bursts out laughing, confessing that the warrior is a very funny guy. Quick on the draw, she tosses the bag of coins into the air, announcing she's lost the will to fight. With the money flying back to its owner, the woman says that spending energy over spare change is a waste of time. Turning her back, she orders her gang to retreat and says goodbye, calling the hero pretty face again. With his pouch recovered, the warrior mutters that the woman is way too bizarre. Weighing the item in his hand, he immediately notices that it's much heavier than before the theft. Inside the leather pouch, the kid finds a completely unexpected shining sphere. Startled, he raises the mystical eye, questioning what this junk is just as the system confirms it's a gift from the thief. Reading about a future partnership, our boy finds this kind of macabre gift very strange. Suddenly, the eyeball emits a blinding glow in the middle of his hand. In an explosion of blue light, the item's magic is activated, tearing through the hero's vision. Falling to his knees, our MC cries out in extreme pain, feeling his mind being invaded by the ancient energy. On the screen, the system congratulates him for obtaining the legendary artifact, the Eye of True Sight, capable of breaking illusions. Breathing a sigh of relief, the warrior celebrates the unexpected bonus that fell from the sky thanks to the crazy lady in the alley. With a confident smile, he concludes that this new timeline for the city is infinitely more fun. Back in the bustling areas, the sun illuminates the market crowded with merchants and newbies. Through the peaceful streets, the kid is already planning to use his new power to unearth hidden treasures on the map. At the very first stall, a vendor is offering black stone ores for an absolute bargain. Fixing his gaze on one of the stones, our hero notices a detail that no one else saw. From his experience, that dark ore is the most useless and abundant thing in the entire game. In his past memories, he knows the warehouses were packed with this junk that randoms hated to buy. Unexpectedly, the newly acquired mystical eye activates its passive ability on its own. Noticing something right in the middle of the pile, the boy locks his focus on a specific rock. Under the magical vision, the stone reveals a purple aura completely different from all the rest. Immediately, the system beeps, confirming the discovery of a valuable camouflage starlight stone. Shocked by the find, the MC grins widely, impressed by the overpowered level of this divine artifact. Tossing a copper coin into the air, he buys the item on the spot, pretending it's just another piece of junk. Excited, the merchant accepts the money instantly, almost begging to close the deal quickly. Overjoyed, the vendor praises the boy's taste while thinking he just scammed a huge sucker. Mentally celebrating, the street seller thinks he hit the jackpot by selling worthless rubble. Far from the stall, our hero lets out a victorious smile, knowing who really made a millionaire's profit. Wiping the crust off the rock, the true purple gem emerges perfectly polished in his bare hand. By market rules, the kid knows that just the raw stone would fetch 100 coins at a normal vendor. However, his knowledge of the future tells him that grinding this jewel creates an alchemical reagent capable of multiplying its value absurdly. Immersed in the game's mechanics, our MC remembers that the secondary professions give players a lot of freedom. Usually, people use these peaceful skills to relax and make a little extra cash between hunts. With a serious face, the hero points out that there's one single profession that is anything but calm. Through trial and error, newbies discover that a failure in alchemy causes incredibly lethal explosions. On the red screen, the message of accidental suicide proves the true curse of trying to craft potions in the dark. In front of the city's trade panel, the warrior decides to check the price list for healing items. On the notice board, he sees that a medium healing potion costs 10 coins, with a restricted daily limit. Doing some quick math, the kid realizes that buying the ingredients for the official recipe is more expensive than the finished product. Add to that a gigantic failure rate, and the real cost of crafting basically doubles in practice. For this exact reason, the Alchemist Street is always crowded with broke players crying on the ground after burning through fortunes. Confident in his own intellect, our boy is thankful for the 5 years of experience that taught him secret recipes. Searching his memory, he knows that just having the magic formula doesn't solve the problem of guaranteed bankruptcy. Thanks to a stroke of luck, the main ingredient of the overpowered recipe is precisely the dust from that starlight stone found at the market. Hiding in a corner, two envious players watch the hero's every move, planning to copy all of his purchases. Convinced of their own cleverness, the copycats buy the useless ore, thinking the owner of the legendary title knows everything. Stunned by his own stupidity, the spy realizes he was tricked by the vendor and bought an entire stock of common junk. Behind the counter, the street seller counts his coins, happy as can be, thinking he sold the stones way too cheap. Completely focused, the MC finishes buying enough cheap vials and herbs to make 100 healing items. With a closed fist, he crushes the purple jewel, effortlessly creating the extremely rare starlight powder. Confused, the pursuers watch from a distance and wrongly deduce that the secret is to grind the raw black ore. Excited by the cheap copy, the idiots smash the normal stones, certain they're about to fill their pockets with gold. Soon, their screens inform them of the creation of a common rock powder, completely worthless to the game's market. Oblivious to the clowns, the warrior starts mixing, pouring the cheap leaf essence into the crystal vial. For the magic touch, he adds the shining purple powder, explaining that the stone multiplies the effect of the flimsy herb. Holding the vial, the war god mentally notes that the process still needs one final catalyst. Drooling with curiosity, the stalkers think the boy is going to use the plaza fountain to perform a high-level ritual. In front of the crystal-clear water, our hero raises the glass and gives a mischievous smile, like someone in the know. Without any ceremony, he simply dunks the bottle into the public fountain, filling the rest of the space with free water. Immediately, the liquid reacts, bubbling and glowing a perfect shade of green, proving the success of the improvised alchemy. Finishing his masterpiece, a system notification pops up, confirming the creation of a medium potion at almost zero cost. With the potion in hand, our hero smiles, seeing that the result is perfect and identical to the one from the shop. Hiding in the corner, the gossips think the boy is just counterfeiting cheap items. Quickly, the system starts raining notifications of mass production in the middle of the plaza. Soon, his inventory is filled with green vials, granting him absurd proficiency in the skill. Full of swagger, the kid concludes that his past memories are turning into easy cash way too fast. Just then, randoms crowd around him, begging to buy since the official shop's limit is sold out. After just 1 hour, his stock is empty, and people are grumbling that they missed their chance. Shaking his bag of coins, the MC knows that charging 1 cent less guarantees an instant sale. In a quick calculation, the warrior turned a mere 100 copper coins into 1,000 in a single sitting. Satisfied with the profit, he celebrates the excellent day while the copycats admit the potions were real. Trembling with greed, the spies think they've discovered a secret from the beta phase capable of breaking the game. Excited, they mix the black powder with weeds and water, swearing that alchemy is the easiest thing in the world. However, the screen spits out a toxic sewage warning, leaving the idiots with egg on their faces. Trying to maintain his composure, one of them swears it's just a different color, and his partner tells him to drink it to prove it. In a deathly silence, the two stare at the poisonous concoction, not daring to take a single sip. Suddenly, the system announces to the entire server that a player has just accidentally offed himself. At the same time, the crowd on the street panics, watching the guy drop dead on the asphalt. Cold and calculating, our boy mutters that the curse of alchemy charges a heavy price from those who try to be clever. Without wasting time, he decides to log out of the game to solve his real-world financial problems. Closing his transactions in the virtual shop, the hero finally ends his brilliant session of profits. Back to reality, the scene changes to a rundown apartment complex. With the helmet in hand, the kid reflects on the insane conversion rate of game coins to real money. Right then, a bank notification flashes, confirming a deposit of 5 million into his account. Staring at his phone screen, the MC praises the absurd speed of the $1 million transfer. Suddenly, the front door flies off its hinges as a gang of loan sharks barges in, demanding the month's payment. Frightened, the hero's mother tries to argue that the payment wasn't due until the end of the month. Filled with rage, the blonde leader confesses he moved up the collection date because he just lost a fortune inside the game. Furious with the virtual server, the thug announces he needs to squeeze money out of the family to ease his own pain. In tears, the woman says they're broke and begs for just a few more days. With a purely mocking expression, the thug ironically asks if the family is really without a single penny. With no morals whatsoever, a henchman forcefully grabs the hero's little sister by the arm. Desperate, the girl tries to break free, while her mother screams in terror at the cowardly scene. With the girl captured, the disgusting blonde suggests selling her to pay off part of the debt. Straight to the bedroom, the lone shark points his finger, calling our MC a useless addict who only knows how to stare at a screen. Full of venom, the thug says the boy should either work his butt off or sell his own organs to pay the bill. But breaking the tense atmosphere, our hero calmly walks out of his room, asking about the lost million. With his phone screen in hand, the kid asks with utter coolness if that balance settles the matter. Roaring with laughter, the thugs mock him, thinking it's a fake until they read the transfer receipt. Quickly, the henchmen check their boss's account and are shocked to confirm the money really went through. Cold as ice, the war god repeats the question, wanting to know if the debt is paid once and for all. Confused, the family can barely breathe, and the sister asks if her brother just robbed a bank. In a total panic, the loan sharks count the zeros on the screen, unable to believe what they're seeing. Terrified, the leader stammers, confirming that the 1 million windfall is 100% real and not a scam. Consumed by envy, the blonde grabs the boy by the collar, demanding to know how a bum got this fortune, while the mother is sent to her room. Beside himself, the crime boss demands an immediate explanation of where that absurd amount of cash came from. Holding his ground, the kid smirks and throws it in his face that he earned the fortune by playing video games. Blinded by rage, the leader freaks out, saying it's impossible since he himself just lost everything in the same game. With incredible nerve, the criminal announces that the deposit doesn't clear the debt, it only serves as compensation for his own loss. Immediately, our MC's expression darkens as he realizes the dirty extortion attempt in his own home. In a move impossible to follow, the hero locks the loan shark's arm, leaving the guy paralyzed with shock. With a voice heavy with threat, the boy warns that his skills go far beyond the virtual world. With a sharp crack, the kid breaks the bully's arm, making the scumbag scream in pain in the middle of the living room. With a macabre smile, the warrior confirms the pain is genuine, while the henchmen tell him to let go of their boss. With his boot crushing the blonde's leg, the war god tells everyone to freeze right where they are. In tears, the criminal begs for calm, swearing the bone will shatter completely if the pressure continues. Seething with a murderous aura, the MC stares into the trash's soul, asking since when they became blood brothers. Facing his own end, the lone shark realizes the boy has the presence of a true demon forged in hell. Tugging on the broken bone, the hero asks if the gang still has the guts to keep shaking down his broke family. Utterly desperate, the blonde begs for forgiveness, saying the debt is paid and there's no need for more unnecessary violence. Turning to the henchman, the boy demands confirmation of the deal, and the cowards stammer their agreement on the spot. With zero patience, our MC immediately kicks the band of losers out of his house. Desperate, the henchmen carry their broken boss out of the apartment, tripping over their own feet in fear. From the balcony, the little sister shouts a threat that if they come back, her brother will mercilessly grind them all to a pulp. Down on the street, the lone sharks swear through tears that they will never set foot on that dangerous block for the rest of their lives. With her back to the street, the girl crosses her arms and demands a detailed and honest explanation from our hero. With an innocent face, the kid plays dumb, asking what on earth he would need to explain now. Leaning on the railing, the girl presses him, wanting to know how a mysterious millionaire suddenly appeared in their broke family. In a mental scramble, the boy tries to come up with a quick excuse that won't make his mom and sister worry about the game's risks. Completely irritated, the redhead demands the truth, stomping her foot on the hallway floor and demanding clear answers. Face to face with the girl, the war god mentally reflects on how his second chance finally saved her life. Dark memories flood his mind, recalling the time his father died and the family sank into brutal medical debt. In those dark times, the hero had to carry the weight of the world on his shoulders to keep everyone from starving. Door to door, the memories show the boy being humiliated and rejected at every job interview in the city. For someone from the bottom, finding any decent work was a task bordering on impossible and extremely humiliating. It was at the peak of his depression that a flyer for the game Era crossed his path, changing his destiny forever. With the game's flyer in hand, the boy discovers an infinite world full of hidden fortunes. Seduced by the promise of easy money, he confesses his initial motivation was pure greed. Back in the past, the war god started from scratch purely for financial gain. Just then, a team captain recruits the newbie, demanding someone not afraid to get wiped on the field. Offering a mere 2 copper coins, the brute throws the exploration proposal on the table. Without a second's hesitation, the kid takes the dangerous deal purely out of a need for cash. Facing danger in every battle, the only rule was to come out alive to get paid. Satisfied with the result, his partner praises the warrior's absurd resilience in the middle of the chaos. Surprised by the guy's survival, the captain jokes that it almost looks like he's using cheats. Covered in injuries, our MC just listens quietly, focused on his own goal. Acknowledging the insane effort, the leader hands him an extra coin as a bonus for the mission. As they part ways, the veteran asks the newbie to continue protecting the team in the future. Looking at his own calloused hands, the hero feels the weight of evolution through pain. Thanks to his daily flirtation with doom, his combat skills reached an absurd level. Sometime later, the warrior was taking down bosses alone, even after the entire team had been annihilated. With fame knocking at his door, a new dream emerged, focused on becoming the absolute player based on pure skill. Determined to reign at the top, the path to supreme strength became his sole obsession. Combining business with pleasure, the tournament money would protect the family he loved so much. On this bloody journey, fate crossed his path with his fake brother, Bailey. Forming a strong partnership, the two promised to dominate their respective classes within the server. In a pact of honor, they agreed to a final duel to prove who was the true king. Famous as the immortal war god, his presence at events started to bring in absurd fortunes. Everything was going well until a mafioso in a suit demanded the MC throw the most important battle. Furious with the setup, the kid refuses to sell out now that the ultimate title is so close. Laying his cards on the table, the boy says that the prize money will save his sick sister's life. With bloodshot eyes, the hero questions the bizarre reason for handing over glory on a silver platter. Full of cynicism, the agent reveals that the entire championship has already been bought by the elite bigwigs. To his complete shock, the opponent protected by the scheme is none other than his traitorous blonde partner. Overly confident, our MC swears his friend would never accept a fake, manipulated crown. Betting everything, the warrior promises to break the rules and crush fate with his own hands. In the MC's mind, brutal effort would always beat any scheme from the sponsors. In a moment of reflection, the hero recalls the massive influence of that former traitor's family. For the upper class, failure is just a detail, but for a guy from the slums, defeat brings total ruin. Suddenly, the phone screams, and his mother's tearful voice shatters the boy's peace. Straight to the point, she tells him the ICU machines turned off by themselves, putting his sister on the brink of death. With the shock, the final revelation confirms that the suit-wearing mafia sabotaged the equipment on purpose. Destroyed on the inside, the kid breaks down in tears, feeling the low blow of corruption in his chest. Straight back to the present, the call from his healthy redhead sister rescues the hero from this infernal nightmare. In a quick motion, he dries his tears, hiding his panic with a giant forced smile. Not understanding the situation, the girl demands a firm answer about the absurd fortune made in the video game. Quick with a lie, the warrior tells the magical tale of a rare prize sold for millions at the city's auction. Excited by the easy money, the younger sister lunges for the helmet to try her own luck. Far from joking, our boy notes that every soul logged into the system carries a unique motivation. On that digital battlefield, many hunt for money while others just flee their bitter lives. But with fury in his eyes, our MC only sees the unreachable crown of the virtual server. Rejected by the underworld, the broke trade their own flesh for coins, facing the absolute limit of existence. Behind every blind survival, there's an unbreakable reason to keep standing firm. Driven by rage, the warrior vows to reign at the top to protect the ones he loves most in real life. Determined to turn the tables, the MC walks straight to the best tech store in the commercial district. At the store's entrance, he focuses his eyes on the full immersion pod, valued at 1,000,000 credits. In the old days, he barely had money for a junk helmet while the big shots flew around in spaceships. Resentful, the kid perfectly remembers that his fake friend used this exact simulator since launch. On the other side of the counter, the salesman scoffs at the slum-dwelling customer, thinking he's there for a cheap repair. Getting straight to the point, the war god puts his foot down, demanding the most expensive, top-of-the-line model from the luxury display. With wide eyes, the attendant informs him that the elite machine is exclusive to professionals in the Gold League. Mockingly, the shopkeeper claims the poor guy would take 10 years just to sniff the product's box. Shutting the moron up, the hero shows the instant payment, demanding delivery on the spot. Just then, the door opens, and the bootlicker tries to offer the simulator to a rich guy who just walked in. Overhearing the conversation, our boy picks up the vocal frequency of an unforgettable old enemy. Full of sour grapes, the preppy newbie grumbles about the monstrous beating he took inside the game. As a flimsy excuse, the guild leader swears he would have crushed his enemy if he had a new machine. As he turns his head, the rich kid's spine freezes as he locks eyes with his greatest living nightmare. Beside himself, the coward yells out loud, asking why his executioner shows up in every corner of the city. With a sharp smile, our MC thanks fate and immediately asks if the trash wants another beating in front of everyone. In an attempt to maintain his swagger, the villain realizes the professional assassin's contract failed miserably in the alley. With a snap of his fingers for the security guards, the suit brags that in real life money calls the shots. To break the grim mood, one of the henchmen comments that the boss said the exact same thing before getting virtually flattened. By some donkey logic, the rich kid thinks that outside the video game, 3 grown men can easily take down the hero. Terrified by the commotion, the shop owner begs for peace, feeling sorry for his own expensive display window. Like a perfect suck-up, the shopkeeper tells the boy to kneel and apologize just to avoid broken glass on the carpet. With a shake of his head, the war god concludes that mixing digital frustration with physical life is a simply fatal mistake. With a metal bar in hand, the rich guy charges forward furiously, promising to reclaim his honor from the mud. Following their boss, the brutes bemoan their level drop in the system while preparing for a cowardly beatdown. Completely unhinged, the henchman pulls out a silver blade looking to slash our unarmed warrior's liver. Exactly at the moment of the cut, the MC's divine mind sees the world in slow motion, ready to begin the bloody massacre. With memories of 5 years of hellish combat, our MC reveals his brain was forged in pain, gaining absurd muscle reflexes. When it's time to fight, the entire world seems to move in slow motion, so sharp has the boy's vision become. In real life, the rule is exactly the same, and the warrior dodges the lethal stab with terrifying ease. Completely bugged out, the henchman's eyes go wide as he asks if the madman is using some kind of cheat in the physical world. Without wasting words, the war god smashes the thug's face with a jaw-breaking crack. The brutal impact then throws the attacker far, slamming the human trash against the store wall. With the lone shark down on the floor, the hero scoffs at the situation, calmly stating that there are no hacks outside of the video game. In a hurry, the kid calls the other two to fight at the same time, wanting to get it over with. Overcome by absolute terror, the rich kid and the henchman take off running, screaming that they'll wait for their boss in a safer place. Right after, the boy turns back to the counter, ignoring the cowards, and demands his luxury machine with the full payment up front. Unable to believe his own eyes, the shop owner is shocked to see the kid's $1 million balance, made just from killing virtual creatures. With the expensive box in his possession, the hero leaves calmly while the shopkeeper fawns over him, asking him to come back whenever he needs anything. Walking down the illuminated street, the kid casually carries the equipment until he's noticed by a downcast figure. In the blonde random's thoughts, he recognizes our hero as the only guy who didn't suicidally attack the demon boss. Completely awkward, the guy swallows hard and stammers, trying to form a simple sentence in front of the battle lord. With his heart racing, the guy tries to build up the courage to say what he really wants to ask the warrior. In a desperate cry from the soul, he confesses to the boy that his biggest dream is to become truly stronger. Surprised by the sudden attitude, our hero stops walking and casts a curious glance behind him. Soon the blonde introduces himself as Hawk, a retribution paladin, and begs for the Dawn Lord's attention. In a tone of absolute supplication, the random demands with all his might to be accepted as the MC's official disciple. With zero patience, the boy lets out a dry laugh and flatly refuses the offer, saying he doesn't want to teach anyone. Desperate, the paladin grabs the warrior's clothes, begging him to listen and reminding him of the day he saw a true war god in action. Aware of his own weakness, the guy admits, looking deep into the hero's eyes, that he finally understood the meaning of absolute power. He then confesses that he chose a ranged fire talent out of pure fear of getting hit and suffering on the front lines. Ashamed of himself, the blonde admits he hid his cowardice behind flashy spells and completely useless effects. Trapped in memories of defeat, the guy finally accepts that he's always been dead weight for any team he joined. Once again, the random begs, crying to learn the ways of strength and match our MC's terrifying power. Mentally, the war god calls the guy an idiot for not knowing the truth of the past and openly refuses the proposal once more. However, leaving a door open, the hero mentions that maybe in the future things might change and a training session could happen. Full of hope, the random breaks into a giant smile, faithfully believing he wasn't completely rejected by his idol. With a sincere smile, the boy advises that true power begins the exact moment you accept your own weakness. In front of the illuminated city, the kid warns about the game's major update and promises to closely evaluate the paladin's progress. In a burst of pure motivation, Hawk swears to the four winds that he will prove his worth over time to deserve the sacred title of apprentice. Through the lonely streets towards the future, the war god concludes that the gears of fate have finally shifted, creating an unprecedented and unpredictable timeline.